peoples, what's good? BIGCED back in the place. The industry cosign. My friends are better than yours, and if you don't think so, then you're about to find out one of them and why he's better than your friend. But anyway, BIGCED back. Y'all know I'm always horrible with these intros because it depends on how I feel. But I want to introduce Tidwell. Everyone calls him Tidwell. I don't think I've ever called you by your first name ever since I really first met you because you said to call you Tidwell.
Well, you know what? Most people don't never call me by my first name.
Yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, as I'm thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, I've never.
Yeah.
I think the first time we met, you were like, well, people call me Tidwell or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I call you too. I don't want to call you Terron. T.
For some reason, everyone tends to remember my last name easier than my first name. So since I've been a kid, it's always been, hey, Tidwell. Someone said, if you ask most of my friends and said Terron, I mean, now they know because I'm in a professional mode, but back then, Terron, who's that? So it's all good.
Well, let's start by, I guess, giving a brief introduction of who you are, what you do, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Terron Tidwell, and I am a wealth manager with Hudson Point Capital. Been doing the Wall Street thing for roughly about 17 years. Came in basically during the worst time, which was the 2008 crash, which was actually a great time for me because it was a great learning experience at the worst possible time, but unfortunately a bad time for others. And so I work on the wealth management side. We do a number of things from investment banking to managing clients' assets and money and helping them with their lifestyle. So that's in a quick nutshell of what it is that I do.
Well, that's good. Welcome to My Friends Are Better Than Yours.
Always.
I know that we met because you were stalking me for a while. Well, it's funny because since I've been doing so many different things over the years, whether it's my website, whether it's parties, whether it's videos, whatever the case may be, I always meet people in different forums and different aspects. And I remember you did reach out to me. I can't remember, was it LinkedIn? I can't remember, but I know whatever it was, I know you reached out to me, and I'm a born skeptic. So I'm like, anybody that reaches out to me, even though I know I'm well versed in what I do or I'm involved in other things, I'm still a skeptic because I'm like, why are you contacting me? But not in that way, but I just remember that you contacted me and you was like, hey, I want to take you to lunch. And I'm like, okay, that's different. Because I work in the music industry where everybody's always trying to get something for nothing and they want to get it for nothing without I'm just used to that. So when somebody's there's very few people that's like, well, let's do this, or I'll pay you for your time, or this is that and the other. And then I look at them even funnier because I'm like, okay, you're different. So it's like, why? So I forgot how many years ago we've initially met, but I know that we
about 15.
Yeah, I know we made it a point to at least go once a year and go get something to eat. So I'm still hungry this year. So hint.
Yeah. I'm gonna put you on the calendar.
So my first question to you before we get into you is, why did you feel that you needed to meet with me? I guess based on what you were doing, because especially when you told me you was involved in finance and wealth management, and I'm like, nigga, I ain't got no money. No. But tell the people why did you feel the need to? I shouldn't say the need, but why you approached me?
Yeah.
And if that's something that you regularly do, is that part of your thing or?
Yeah. To a certain degree, I would definitely reach out to people if I find their profile intriguing or some way, connection-wise or something that I'm interested in about them or their business, or if there's a way to align. And I don't remember exactly how I came. I think because I used to work in the music industry, so I knew your name.
Yeah.
And so when I came across your profile, I reached out to you, and I was like, to something to the degree of, listen, I don't want anything from you. I would love to pay you for your time. I wanted to have a conversation because I wanted to ask you about certain avenues on how to maneuver. And at first you was kind of like, you know what? I usually don't do this, but because you said you'll pay me for my time, I'm willing to sit down with you.
Yeah, and you still haven't paid me, but go ahead.
Well,
I think when you did do that, I felt kind of funny, and I'm like, well, I think that's when either you suggested, or I was like, well, we can go out to lunch or whatever, so that way there can be a comfort level as opposed to it just being, because like I said, I'm a skeptic, and I'm a skeptic to this day. People will tell you like they've had to like meet me 17 times in order for you to be like, okay, we can talk. So
No. Well, I mean, it was cool though, because once we sat down, we bonded real quick. We started, talking about, from things from back in the day doing the music business and things of that nature. And then we had a great conversation on what it is that I do and, how I could possibly align and just getting introductions and just really just kind of like finding out, how to actually move in the entertainment space. Just getting, some insight on coming from a different avenue. And you gave a lot of great, information. And from there, it just bonded into, basically, as you said, every year we were just doing, a get together every year, no matter what. I think we just got sidetracked with the COVID, so we couldn't do that, for that moment. But, it was a great conversation that we had. And, after that, you was always, you will always pick up my call if I called you or something, or if I text you, or you hit me up, tell me come through to a certain event or come through, here or there. And so, we've actually built outside of just talking about business, just talking about things in general. So that's how we actually came to pass of becoming friends.
Well, the good thing that I can appreciate is that, especially in this business that I'm still involved in, that people never acknowledge or give you your props, and like immediately, like you from what I can remember, immediately you were like letting me know some of like the positive things that you've seen of me because of whatever interactions that you've seen from a distance. And I appreciated that, because everyone's always trying to either sun you or make it seem as if you're not as good as you are. And I immediately I appreciate that, because it was one or two things: either you're trying to con me, or you were just being honest, straightforward, honest. So I tend to go towards, okay, he's conning me, but like I said, I'm also good with figuring people out, or figuring out people are full of shit. And like I didn't get that vibe from you, so like you said, we stayed in touch. And I know that initially, I know that you wanted to help me in whatever I chose to do, which I always appreciated. And I always fumble when I do that, because I've always wanted to do something and just either don't contact people or just don't do it. So
you never follow up on things, and I'll be right there pushing like, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you reach out to this person yet? Did you
exactly? Yeah, and sadly, you're not the only person. And I do appreciate when people do recognize the things that I'm not going to say that I don't see in myself, but the things that I don't see either right away or I don't see at the moment. Because like even with the podcasting thing, I did podcasting before people knew what podcasting was. Like literally, like maybe probably around the time we met. Honestly, like when nobody knew what podcasting was, because me and my partner we did that. It didn't pick up right away, so we stopped. And just different things. And I've always told people, and I know I've told you, like whatever I do, I've got to want to do it in order for it to be successful for me. Unless, of course, you're going to pay me a lot of money to do it, then I will find whatever passion I need at that moment to make sure that happens. But like I said, I've always appreciated from that aspect. Now I want to bring it to you as far as how did you get into finance, the financial aspect and the wealth management, because I know that there's so many different avenues. Because even from our first conversation, I'm looking at you like, well, like what do you do? And I can hear somebody tell me what they do and still not pinpoint it, because there's so many different aspects to what is being done. Because you can tell me one thing, but you still have other things. So how did you get into the wealth management side of things?
Definitely. So I would say, what was that? I would say probably about 2005, somewhere in that time period or whatever. I was at TVT Records, and of course, I had just left Jive Records because we was going through so many different mergers and acquisitions with, LaFace and Records and, all the mergers that was taking place. And, when mergers happen, people are going to get cut and everything. Of course, LimeWire was the thing that was decimating the industry. So, to me, the writing was on the wall that things were changing. The industry was changing. It was just really some time. It was just that time to look at other ways of making a living, and just, somewhere you can have passion and still do the things that you want to do. And so I've always been an entrepreneur. So I've always been a go-getter. And so I knew some people that were already on Wall Street, dealing with my mom. She had a financial advisor. So I knew a little bit about the world, but not a lot, besides what you would see on the movies and everything. And so I wind up going back to school. And at that time, I spoke to someone that I knew, and I went into their training program. And from there, it was just, basically what you see on, I'm trying to remember the movie that Will Smith played in when he was the stockbroker. But that was kind of like my path of coming into Wall Street, So I had a passion for it, but I was also looking for, okay, well, where can I go make money as well? That, not just have a career, but I want to, definitely, be about the business, but also, how do I grow? How do I, still be an entrepreneur, still have that entrepreneurial spirit? So that's how, I guess you could say, like, my forte into coming to Wall Street.
That's cool, because I know that most people who tend to go to Wall Street just like money. That's what most people. Because it's like I have a lot of friends who work at Wall Street, and they're like what? Yo, that's where the money is. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But I also realize that a lot of them are either too stressed or don't really enjoy it. They can make 7 figures a year and still so frustrated because they're not having fun, or the pressure of having to make more money, especially in a big firm. And then I had one guy tell me, he's like, yo, I wish I had your life. I'm like, money, I make like $20,000 a year, and I'm like getting parties free. He's like, you don't understand. You get to have fun.
Yeah.
You hang out with celebrities. You hang out. You're at this place. You're at this place. You're at this place. You're at this place, and it's like, dog, I gotta work 10, 12 hours a day, sometimes 6 days a week. And then by the time I get home, I'm just resting to get back up for the next day. And it's like, I don't have any fun. And it's like, I'd rather have no money and fun. And I was like, yeah, you got 2 houses. So I was like, I don't know if you but so I understood it, like I said, from speaking from different people. What keeps you motivated to not get in that type of doldrums when it comes to being in that world, the finance world?
Well, you know what? Say you said something about, having to work 10, 12 hours. I mean, basically that's everyone though. I mean, to a certain degree, if you look at especially the times that we live in, right? I mean, very few people are actually working 9 to 5, because they're probably doing something else after that. So, I apologize, phone going off here.
I'm talking about something, either there's aliens around me or I'm
so that part doesn't really bother me. I've always been used to, as I said, being an entrepreneur. So you're gonna always have to grind. You're gonna always have to work very hard. Yes, in this business, in this line of work, the stress can be, it will have the ebbs and flows, because for one, you're dealing with something that's very sensitive, which is people's life and their money. And during bad times, you can see people's whole perspective and image and everything actually change because you're seeing rough times. If things are not going very well or whatever, you can see the to a certain degree, I won't say the nasty side, but you can see, what apprehension will do to someone, or what stress can do to someone that's under the gun. So yeah, it can be stressful at times, but I also enjoy the work too. So some people, after a while, they no longer enjoy it, but I enjoy what it is that I'm doing, especially just the part of actually meeting a lot of people. and that's funny for me to say because I'm naturally an introvert, but I know as part of my business, I have to be, outgoing and meeting. And I definitely enjoy meeting new people and actually helping them. So, it's, yeah, some people are here just strictly for the money, but there are a lot of people here who are actually into helping others as well, and especially if I can help more minorities. So I'm definitely into that lane right there.
Now you have, I guess, an advantage, but also I'm pretty sure a disadvantage is that you work with athletes, people in the industry, and just like, people with big egos. I mean, like, yeah, I can use so many different adjectives because, of course, I work with some of these people, and I don't have to deal with them, or if I deal with them, it's only for if I'm doing an interview or if I'm at a party, so I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But for you to actually have clients or companies where, like, you have to deal, like, how do you deal with those personalities, unrealistic expectations and things of that nature? Because I think with anybody working in money, when somebody's giving you their money or putting their money for you to make them more money, there's always going to be questions as to why the money hasn't been made as quick or whatever it may be. Because I'm pretty sure, because I know if I'm expecting somebody to put money in my pocket, I'm probably going to be on their ass because I'm like, yo, I just gave you $100,000. How come I only still have $100,000 and it's 2:00? How do you feel with dealing with like the different personalities, the expectations, and just dealing with the high level of stress that comes with it?
Yeah. It's funny because I tell people all the time, and I'm quite sure even music managers will attest to, as far as athletes or artists are concerned, it's a little bit different than dealing with regular executives and the everyday person. But on this side of the business, you are more of a professional babysitter to a certain degree, depending on how involved you are in your clients' lives, right? If it's just someone who's just dealing with the financial side of being their financial advisor, then it may just be that little part of the pie. But if you're dealing with their whole picture to their lifestyles, to if and not to put no one on blast or anything, but just say if people have multiple girlfriends or whatever, you're dealing, there's a number of issues that you can be dealing with. And then, as you said, personalities. That's everyone has a different personality, and the thing is, you really try to find out, how do you gel with them, or what is their view on different things, because then you try to tailor your services to that way. Because, for instance, you may have some people that can be very anal about certain things, and I'll use an engineer, right? And I'm not knocking engineers, right? But engineers, they can be very, very specific down to the little grain of dirt on something. And the reason being is just because of how their business is. Because if they're building a bridge or whatever, if they're off a centimeter, then down the line is going to be totally off. So their focus is going to be very, in depth, in detail, versus some people, they just want to see the big picture. They don't want to know all about the nitty gritty and all of that. Hey, listen, just tell me the big picture, what you need to do, what I need to do, and then let's keep it moving. So you have to kind of like tailor it to how that client, is, how they, perceive things. And then you just try to make sure that for the most part, you're definitely you're definitely going to give them the truth. And that's, because I tell people I'm not going to be a yes man or anything of that nature. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to hear, if it's in your best interest or if it's not in your best interest. So some people, they feel they're not going to be like that because they're on the payroll, they're being paid or whatever. But my thing is, if we're working together, my thing is I have to have your best interest at heart, and that requires telling you something that you may not want to hear. So some guys they may not like that, or family members might not like that. But at the end of the day, I think most guys will appreciate it because they look back and say, well, yeah, he was definitely there, for my best interest, so yeah.
When you're working with clients or a company, is there a specific time frame or an average time frame that you work with people in order to, I guess, because I mean, I have no clue as far as how that works, because I know there are people that may have used the same company or use the same person literally for their whole lives. And then I also know that some do it during certain cycles. And I think I'm thinking specifically within entertainment because of my dealings. And of course, I'm not dealing in wealth management, but I'm just talking about my conversation with people, because I have conversations with all types of people. But I do know when it comes to finance, there are always different like mindsets and things. Like what is it? What is average for you? And when it comes to even people wanting to work with you, what is it that you look for outside of them having money that that you know that it can be a successful relationship?
Yeah. The first thing is attitude is big, because you don't want to work with a douchebag. You don't want to work when someone's going to be a headache. Like, why? Listen, you already have enough stress with the business, so you don't want to bring on board someone that's going to stress you out even more so, right? So that's the biggest thing right there. You want to work with people that align with your vision, you can align with their vision, and you all can, because at the end of the day, it's a marriage, right? And you want to make sure that the marriage actually works. You tell me your point of view, I tell you my point of view, and we try to find that medium in between. So, that's I would say the second thing. Also, though, you want to work with those who are definitely going to listen to the information, that's given or that's being proposed, because a lot of times, unfortunately, people always say, well, what happened to this athlete, or what happened to that person, or, this or that or whatever. And a lot of times, guys just don't take the advice that they're given. I'm not saying that they weren't given bad advice or anything, but a lot of times, though, you will see that guys, somewhere down the road, they didn't take the advice, or, or they was taking advice from someone who wasn't qualified or wasn't legit. And we see a lot of that, So, unfortunately, guys that start using family members, because it's understandable, they trust them, right? But at the same time, I tell guys a lot of times that family members can be very deadly to your business, because listen, if you blow your ACL, you wouldn't ask your family member to try to do surgery on that. So then, why would you think that now, they was making 50,000, then all of a sudden now they know how to manage, different aspects, whatever, within a year's time of you just getting some money or whatever the case may be. So, a lot of times it has to boil down to a lot of, guys not taking the proper information that's given to them and following up or following the plan that was laid out for them. So I think that's a big part of it.
When you started, let's go back. Let's even go back 10 years. Where you are today, is that along the lines of where you anticipated being, or did you have an idea, or do you have even a bigger goal to achieve, like based on how you started, where you're at now, and what you plan on doing? Yeah.
So I would say, 10 years ago, it was more so just being a stockbroker. We would just, I came into business. I was brought into business as a stockbroker, and then over time, I've made the transition to becoming a financial advisor, wealth manager. So I'm dealing more in depth now with that client's whole lifestyle. So I'm not just, at that time we was just talking about, okay, well, here's the company, we're going to sell this, we're going to buy that, do this, do that. That was great back then coming into the business. But now, older, mature, and also now I see the bigger picture that's great, but people need more than just that, because at the end of the day, I'm not just dealing with the money aspect of their life. You can be dealing with the budgeting aspect for them. They have kids now, or we need to set things up for their kids and everything. If they're having multiple homes and different things, now you're getting into different estate planning issues and things of that nature. If they have, if they have people working for them, now you're talking about payrolls and all of that. So insurance and different needs have to be focused upon as well. If they're throwing parties and everything, how do we protect them? Because now guys are walking billboards. Everyone's looking to sue them for any little thing. So now it went from just talking about, this little piece over here about money to now you're looking at, where you may see actual potholes in their lifestyle. And then you want to point that out to them and say, hey, listen, this is where I see right here. This is where you could be vulnerable. This is what we need to do in order to fix that. So I've transitioned from where I was, back then to where I am now. And then, going forward, I would continue to build on where I am, continue to build on expanding more so, with the sports and entertainment. And then maybe somewhere down the line, open up a branch up for the firm as well, another branch for the firm as well. So, it's some things I'm thinking about doing. I definitely know I'm probably looking at doing a book or something, to that degree. But yeah, I would say that's kind of where I am at this point in time, and looking to continue to build and grow, the sports and entertainment side, and still help my everyday regular folks as well. But my eye is just kind of really
few poor people you interact with.
Not not at all. Listen, there's a number of great people out there with businesses and different things. I still have regular everyday business owners, as well. It's just, I just focus more on those on the sports and entertainment side, but I still have those that I talk to. Perfect example. The other day, someone hit me up. A friend of mine hit me up, and they was asking me about insurance policy and everything, and I set it up for them. Right? It's not something that I go out and look to do, and go out trying to, push insurance and all that stuff, but because that was a friend of mine, and they needed something for a child as well, then I was able to set that up and everything for them. So yeah, when there's a need, you definitely still try to help, or if I can't help, I will point them in the right direction to where there's someone that I can trust that can definitely get that job done.
There might be somebody watching right now that's like, I want to get into wealth management. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give them?
Listen, right now, only reason why I'm hesitant on it, just because things are changing so drastically now with AI, right? So we're all, looking at and figuring things out and adjusting to how do we navigate and enhance ourselves with what's taking place as we speak. But for someone that still wants to get into the business, if they're in school, being in business, going to school for business, accounting, finance, those are all avenues of coming into wealth management. Also, guys who've had extended careers, a lot of individuals simply come from the services as well, because they've been taught and they have a huge background on a program, right? They've been programmed from a military standpoint, and that actually helps them as well, in this business. So, there's no one direct way or set way. The college is the overall way. But there are still other avenues that you can still come into this business in different lanes. And finance is big. There's so many different avenues of finance, whether it's mergers and acquisitions, and, you want to do investment banking, private equity. So there's a number of avenues that people can take or get involved in.
I know I have limited time with you. So how has AI affected, or how will? I mean, because there's so many different aspects, and I know that more people are trying to rely on using aspects of AI, not being intelligent to realize that sometimes you have to actually, Lord forgive me for saying this, you actually have to be smart sometimes in order to know what to use that way it can benefit you.
Yeah.
So how has it affected you in a way where, whether it's detrimental, helpful, or you're still gonna get your shit off regardless?
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I'm still learning, right now, as everyone else should be doing. I'm still taking classes. Matter of fact, last Saturday, I spent roughly probably 6 hours just going much more in depth and learning some of the process and setting up some of my agents and things of that nature, because most people are just playing around with things. But I mean, from what we're seeing, I mean, it's mind blowing and it's moving so fast. I mean, if you just turn on the business news every day, there's something that's going on. Just in the last couple of weeks, you're seeing, companies' stock prices falling because of, software changes and things that are coming to the market. So, right now we're utilizing it to actually enhance what it is that we're doing, to maybe cutting down on some of the back office stuff or things that we can get away from doing and just really focus much more on the client instead of so much on the paperwork and all that stuff. Is actually helping us also in analyzing data to be much more efficient. So right now it's, it has its pros and cons, but the thing is, if you ignore it, then you're going to be left behind. And I'm choosing to basically learn what's going on with it and how do I implement it. So this way I can always continue to be in front, or at least riding that wave of what's taking place with AI and how, the world is changing with it.
One last question, more so, if you could do anything over again, what would it be and why?
That's a great question. You know what? There's not many things that I would do over, just because I think, if I did it over, then I wouldn't be who I am right now. Right. So, that's like me going back, because I have seven siblings. So if I went back and redid and wasn't that, then I might not even have those siblings, I mean, because one little piece out of that puzzle can just change the rest of your life. So you can't really have too much of a look back of, man, I would change this or change that, because that actually helped propel me to where I am right now. All the bad, all the good, that has actually given me the steps to help me get to where I'm currently at. So I can't really say I would go back and change anything. Do I have some regrets? Of course, but if you was to take those out, then your whole parameter might just change and shift, that we may not even be talking. I may not even know you said.
That's true. That would be devastating. So for anybody who wants to talk to you, reach out to you, or just say hi on social media, and I meant to put that information. I knew I forgot something. My bad.
Oh, it's all good.
I actually put information that I don't even use it. So let the people know how they can get in touch with you, or via social media. Excuse me, our websites or anything like that.
Sure. I'm definitely, you can find me on LinkedIn. Terron, my name, I think it should be on the screen there. Terron Tidwell, Terron Tidwell, Tidwell. I'm on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well as Terron Tidwell, the advisor. Not on X and or Twitter, but one of those three, you can definitely connect with me. My email is ttidwell@hudsonpoint.com. Once again, that's ttidwell@hudsonpoint.com. Feel free to email me, reach out. We can always talk. If you have a question or idea or something, I'll be more than happy to have a chat.
I haven't had any returning guests yet, but I think that you need to be one of them sometime in the future. It doesn't have to be right away, because I feel like there's so much that we can still talk about.
Oh,
and,
yeah. Well, we always talk, so we can definitely have another conversation, much more in depth, or whatever way you want to go with it.
Definitely. So I appreciate you taking your time to actually, talk, give the people something to think about. And I was just about to say something, just left my mind. But anyway, any last words? Anything else that you'd like to put out there?
Listen, be safe, take action, and get momentum.
I'm just gonna say get money.
Listen, money will come with all of those. Take action.
Momentum will bring the money.
Momentum, because that's the thing. A lot of us we sit around waiting, and we, life too short, to be waiting. So we have to generate some type of inertia to get things going. And so whether it's, on the health side, the mental side, or the financial side, it's, take action, get some momentum going.
Definitely. Once again, I appreciate your time. Good luck with any and everything that you do. And for all those who stayed to the end, thank you for staying. My friends are better than yours. If you think that I'm wrong, bring me your friends and I'll prove you wrong. Until the next time, BIGCED, Industry Cosign, Tidwell. I want to get into your company too, but like I said, we can schedule another time.
Point.
Yeah. So, but thanks again, and everyone else. Till next time.